Hello, everybody. Here, get my mic ready. Hi, guys. Hello there. It is Jillian Leslie, and I'm so happy to be here. It is Thursday in Austin, and it's amazing what last week was like because it's starting to feel like a dream. Today is not such a nice day, but yesterday it was up to 85 degrees, which is like crazy considering that it was below 10 degrees the week before. Anyway, I wanted to pop in to talk about SEO. I recorded this yesterday and the recording ended up super weird. So I ultimately deleted it. I noticed people were popping in and then popping out. And I think it's because the recording quality was really bad. So I thought I would do it again. So welcome, guys. Please, in a comment, welcome. Say, tell me who you are so I can say hi. I wanted to also ask anybody who has SEO questions to please ask them of me. And the reason I want to talk about SEO is because I did a podcast episode all about it, where I interviewed somebody named Casey Markey, who is an SEO expert. So I realized before I even get started, I need to introduce myself for those of you who are new to this, who are new to me. I'm Jillian Leslie. I am founder with my husband of MiloTree, which is a pop-up app, and it pops up and it asks your visitors to follow you on Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook and YouTube. It can collect email addresses. We integrate with all the major email service providers. It's super easy to install. So if you are trying to grow, what I love about it is it grows your real followers, your engaged followers. These are people who are on your blog, and it converts those people into followers. What better followers could you have? And on platforms today, it's not just follower count, it's engaged followers, people who really want to hear what you have to say. If you've not tried MiloTree, go to milotree.com. Install it on your blog. You get your first 30 days free and you can see it work for you. If you have traffic, I promise it will grow your followers and your email list. And the other thing that we do, which I think is super cool, and I don't think I talk about this enough. Oh, thank you for the heart. I don't think I talk about this enough. We have this very cool pop-up as part of MiloTree where you can send it. Hello, Casey. Welcome. You can, Casey, I don't know if you know this with MiloTree, but you can put a custom link to your pop-up. You can add a photo to your pop-up or an image of some sort, and you can send your audience wherever you want. So let's say you're doing, let's say for you, Casey, you've got a product that you want to sell. You can put it on your blog and you can send people to your sales page, talk about your product, that kind of thing. So I love that feature and I feel like it's underutilized. I think it's the fact that I have not been able to communicate that as well to our audience. Anyway, David and I also have a site called Catch My Party, and we do coaching, which is how I know Casey because she's part of our membership. And I also have a podcast called the Blogger Genius Podcast. And I realized that I never went live. Usually on Mondays, I go live, talk about my most recent podcast episode. But last Monday, let's see. Yes, I have it linked. Let's put that. Watch this. Casey, check that out. Cool. And how is that working for you to connect it to your woodshop sales page? Do you feel like people are kind of going from your blog to your sales page? Let me know in a comment. And maybe after I talk about SEO, if you're around, I can invite you to the Facebook Live if you want to come join me on here. Let's talk about SEO because I realized that at the beginning of the year, I asked in my Facebook group, what is the thing you guys want to learn the most in 2021? And by far, the answer I got more than any other was SEO. And I think it's because we all recognize that traffic is so important to our businesses that if we're out there creating content, but nobody's seeing it or nobody's, finding our products, it's, ultimately we need people to come to our sites and our blogs. And SEO is a great way to get free traffic because you could otherwise pay for traffic, but it'd be great if you could get free traffic. And it used to be that Pinterest was sending people so much traffic. And I think, great. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can. Okay. But now I'm going to go on Facebook so that I can see who's leaving comments. Anyway, I think Pinterest is kind of pivoting a little bit. I think that Pinterest has recognized that if they can keep people on the platform. Oh, Talisa, welcome. I think that if Pinterest is saying, you know what, we can keep people on our platform, this could be better because we could show them more ads. And so therefore, I think that Pinterest is making it a little more difficult for you to click away. And this is why they're doing things like stories and video. And I think that people have said, well, wait a second, if Pinterest isn't sending me as much traffic, I need to lean into some SEO. Okay, I need to look at that. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Casey. I think that's really cool. Here, I'm going to hide that, and then I'm going to show what you just said. I'm so glad that you like this feature. I'm so glad that you've discovered it and that it works for you, because I think it's one of our coolest features for MyLowTree. Okay, so let's talk about SEO. What is it really like? People, I think, get a little nervous about SEO. Casey, you might remember this when we're doing our final week in our 6-week coaching group. And the last session we do about Google Analytics. And you could see everybody going, oh God, do I really have to learn about Google Analytics? And it seems like a lot of numbers and stuff. And I think SEO feels a little bit like that, a little bit intimidating. But here is the truth about SEO. SEO is all about providing the best solution to somebody's problems. That's it. Like that's like the truth. Oh, hi, Jenny Wallentine. Welcome. Anyway, that's really, if you can provide the best solution, that's how you win at SEO. So what does that mean? Well, if you're doing a recipe or a DIY or a gardening post or whatever it is, you know that people have problems and they're searching for a solution. So the first thing is to figure out what kind of problem you can solve. What are you an expert in? And then how do you know which piece of content to create? So when I interviewed Casey Markey, who is very well known in the blogging world, he works with a lot of food bloggers and DIY bloggers. His recommendation, and I want everybody to kind of take this in, is to go after long tail keywords. So let's talk about a recipe, because he does a lot of food bloggers. Like if you go after something very generic, like blueberry pie, your chances of ranking for blueberry pie are very, very low, because you're going up against Food Network and All Recipes and really big bloggers. And there's no way there's space for you when it comes to the search terms blueberry pie, even if you have the most delicious blueberry pie. Therefore, is there a spin on blueberry pie that you could find where you're not going after blueberry pie, but maybe you're going after blueberry pie bars or something, blueberry pie crumble? And what I recommend you do, and what Casey recommends, is to do keyword research before you create content, because God forbid, it would be so awful if you spent all this time creating that fantastic blog post, but you recognize that it's too competitive. Those search terms are too competitive for you to go after. I feel like 10 years ago, we'd wake up in the morning and go, what do I blog about today? And everything was fair game, because nobody had really figured out that you need to be really strategic in terms of the content that you create, especially if you consider your blog a business. If your blog is a hobby, go put that blueberry pie recipe up. But if you are really trying to monetize your blog, then be very intentional about your keywords. I personally recommend using Ubersuggest. Casey likes this other tool called KeySearch. I think it's SO. You can find it really easily. Ubersuggest is free. His is like maybe $20 a month, whereas like SEMrush or one of those services are like $99 a month. Therefore, I recommend Ubersuggest, and I recommend using Google itself. Search for whatever it is that keyword, hopefully it's a long tail keyword that you want to go after, and see what's showing up. Go look at those top posts and say, can I beat this? It becomes kind of gamifying. In that you're going to look at that post and you're going to go, well, is it recent? Do they have a video? Is there something that I can do, like with my specialness, where I can do a better job than what's already there? I want you to think about that so that when you're putting the pieces together in your blog post, you've come up with your special sauce, what makes your content super compelling. And this is another thing that Casey said, and I thought this was brilliant. I said to him, a lot of times bloggers want to tell personal stories in their blog posts. And should you do that? And his answer was categorically no, meaning it's not the Jillian show. I feel like every single time I'm here and I am, doing one of these Facebook Lives, I say that's like my mantra. But I'm here to give you information. And yeah, sure, I live in Austin and that was weird. And so many people reached out to me to see how we were doing. But my job is really to provide, say, SEO advice for you. And your job as a blogger is to make my life better. So if, for example, it's your grandmother's blueberry pie crumble, you might mention that in the post, but if you're going to tell me the story about how every summer you go to her lake house and you guys would make this blueberry pie crumble or this, in truth, does that help me? Not really. And unless I'm like your friend or your relative, it's just noise to me. Therefore, in your first paragraph, in your blog post, make sure it states, why is this the absolute best DIY or who knows what? Like, what makes this super special? Sell that to me, not the personal story. Sell why I'm in the right place. So for example, let's say this is connected to a pin on Pinterest and that I click it. I don't know where I'm going. So you reassure me in that first paragraph that I am in the right place. If I want the best, whatever this project is, the best crocheting project, I'm in the right place. This is exactly where I need to be. And you're going to tell me why. Maybe it's easy crochet. Maybe it is modern crochet. I don't know, but you sell me on that right at the top and then get right into your content. And if it is a recipe, if it is a DIY, make sure to use like a recipe plugin. What that does, that creates what's called structured data, telling Google exactly what's in this post. So remember, Google's job is to make their audience, their users happy. And they do that by providing the best search result for that user, because then that user continues to come back. So Google can read your post and kind of guess what it's about. But by you using what's called structured data, that's like a direct line to Google saying, oh, right, you thought this was a recipe? Well, guess what? You're right, because it says recipe. And it will tell you how long you cook it for. And it will give you a list of ingredients and all this information. You don't even have to translate this, Google. I'm going to tell you that you are in the right place thinking this is a recipe or this is a DIY. And for DIY people, anything that has steps to it, use, say, a recipe plugin. Or we have the paid version of Yoast, and Yoast actually then provides us a Gutenberg block of like how to, where it tells you can put the steps to whatever you're working on directly in your post. That is value. That's value to Google. That's value to you. And really, the truth is, it's value to the visitor because they know, oh, here are the steps I need to take. Another thing that Casey said, especially for food bloggers, in the notes, like, and you've got that like recipe card. That's the thing where you can download it, print it out. In the notes, make sure all of the important information that makes this recipe special is in the notes, because most people will take this and just print it out or only really look at that. So you want to set your visitor up for success. So what are those little things like, oh, you need to soak whatever beans for an extra 30 minutes, or you need to make sure the pie crust looks like this, or all of those tips, put them in the recipe card. If you're doing a DIY, explain why you need to wait 10 minutes for it to get tacky before you attach it. Who knows? Those are the details that make you special, where you are setting someone up for success. Again, what I really like about this is it's like shining the light on the other person. Again, it's like, it's not really my show. It's my ability to help you. The more helpful you are, the better. So to summarize what I've been sharing, go after long tail keywords. Do not make it about you. Make it about how I can help you succeed. Go to Google. Not only do keyword research on using a site like Ubersuggest, but go search for it on Google itself. Look at the bottom of the search results and you will see other related searches. If you can, and a lot of times they're questions like, can I use frozen blueberries in my blueberry crumble? Well, answer that question in the post because people are looking for that answer, that they're asking that question. So do put a frequently asked questions section in your blog post. Blog posts are no longer like essays. They're much more about get to the right information. Think about it. You're scrolling for stuff like on your phone. This is not a great place to say read novels. Therefore, you want to serve up the information super easily. Another thing, so adding frequently asked questions by searching on Google. I also search on Pinterest to see what does my competition look like. And I look at those top posts and I look at them on Pinterest as well and go, ooh, so somebody's designing their pin this way. Maybe I could show this, and that might give me an advantage. Again, recipe card or how-to plugin, if you're doing something that has steps, definitely add frequently asked questions using H2s, which are headings. You want your post to be easy to skim. One thing I love that Casey said, I'm going to steal this, but I will give him credit. He said, you are writing for toddlers and drunk adults. That is like the level of that is how easy your content should be to understand and digest. So no fancy words, no run-on sentences, lots of breaks, lots of, again, headings like you're writing an outline. And you can even put a table of contents. There are some plugins that do this so that somebody looking at the post, I don't know if you ever do this, I go to a post, it has a table of contents and boom, I jump right to what information I'm looking for. And that's so helpful. When you can offer up something like that, that's super helpful, people like it. Another thing you could do is add a video. And it could just be you talking about whatever it is. It could be you showing the craft. But remember, what videos do is they're engaging and people will stay on your site longer. And Google knows this. And Google says, ooh, that is a valid, good experience. We're going to show that search result again. And so this is kind of how you're starting to think about it. And notice nothing of what I've said is super technical. It's all kind of logical. It all makes sense. So, let me know if you have questions about that. But that is the main, I would say, the main takeaways I got in terms of content. Now, in terms of the technology, pay attention to your site speed. And David, my husband and my partner, he works on blogs all the time. He is a site speed expert. What he says is you can Google, here, David, what is the tool, the Google tool for site speed? Google page speed. Google page speed. Google page speed. Type your URL into the box and see what comes back. Now, we all want it to come back at like a 90, and chances are it won't. You have a problem if it's say below 30, 40. If you show ads on your site, you're never going to get it super high, just because do know that everything you add to your site slows it down. So that includes ads, plugins, lots of like fonts, things like that, big photos. So what are the things that you can control? You can control how many fonts you have on your blog. You can optimize photos. But if you are showing ads, that's going to slow your site down. Just know that. So that's not like a game, that doesn't mean like, oh, I can't show ads on my site, but do know that there are limits to what you can fix and what you can't. Now, Milo Tree, for example, because we care so much and David cares so much about site speed, it's optimized like crazy. So it will not slow down your site, just so you know that. But we're very mindful of that. Not all plugins are thinking, the people who make them are thinking that way. Just know that. And something you can do is you can test your site speed. Hi, Casey. Oh, great. You're back. Do you want to come on and talk about how you use the special Milo Tree link, let me know if I can invite you on. Anyway, do one thing you can do. If you know how to do this, you can turn off your ads and then test your site speed. So therefore you can get like a more accurate assessment of how you're doing. Or you can uninstall plugins and test your site speed and then, put them back on and see what your site speed is looking like. So think about it that way. Site speed is really important. Another thing to think about, in May, Google has already said this. They're coming out with a new algorithm change. What does that mean? Nobody knows. Is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? We don't know. It might be a big deal for you. That's great, Casey. Okay, so wait, Casey, I'm going to give you a link. Hold on. I'm going to, so here, Casey, I am going to share this on Facebook. Casey, here we go. Okay. Casey, I just messaged you a link to come on my StreamYard stream. See if you get it. And if your kids aren't cooperating, of course, totally understand. You can jump off whenever. Anyway, so be mindful that a new algorithm change is coming. The best way that you can ensure you're okay is by best practices. So make sure your site speed is okay, and make sure that another thing is, and by the way, this all relates to mobile. And this is because people come to your site predominantly on mobile. Oh, here, I'm going to add Casey. Casey, welcome. Here, wait, I can't hear you. Let me see.
Do I need to turn it up?
That's perfect. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Wow. It's so nice to see you here.
Yeah. I was not expecting this, but the boys are cooperating. They're outside playing in the creek. So
that's so nice. So Casey, will you introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are.
Yeah. I'm Casey with Roost and Restore. I have a blog at roostandrestore.com. It's a DIY and decorating blog. I like to teach people how to decorate their homes resourcefully. And then I actually joined your coaching group. I don't even know how many months ago it was, but you're the one that kind of encouraged me to lean in to some of the things that I was offering at the time that I was ready to just throw out the door. And one of those was wood. So then I have actually built a membership based on wood products, and that's what I'm using your Milo Tree app for currently. I haven't.
Love it.
It toggles between the I think Pinterest, a few different things, but one of those is my wood shop membership sales page, and it's just to kind of for me to create awareness for people that are coming to my site for DIY that, hey, here's another piece of the puzzle that may be missing for you. So I
love that. What I think too, and you know, because you've got your blog and then you've got your membership, that it's like, how do you tie all the pieces together? So like some people might know you as a blogger and not know you've got this other thing, or some people might know you've got a store and not know that you're blogging, or that you have a big Facebook presence. And aren't there people who follow you on Facebook who have no idea what else you're doing?
Right.
So how do you get people to know all of the different parts of you?
Well, I'm still figuring that out, but it all is interconnected somehow, some way. So my blog is about decorating. So what I sell is DIY decor based. So if you love to decorate and you love to DIY, then those two things mesh up with the subscription that I offer. The other aspect of that we've kind of branched into is selling goods, like actually selling decor as well. And that's going extremely well too. So it's all kind of around that decor realm, especially DIY focused, if that makes sense. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah. Now, how though? How do you remind your audience of all the different pieces and parts?
Just talk about it. I mean, I just when I'm live, I'm talking about it constantly. And somehow, some way, whatever I'm doing, I try to link it back to either a service or a product that I sell, or I've kind of started breaking my audience down into 2 different groups. Now the Roost and Restore side is the DIY, like heavy types of things. And then I've started a second page recently, and I'm filtering those people that are maybe there just for decor. Maybe they're not interested in making it themselves and they just want pretty stuff. They want to know how I made my, whatever it was in my picture, look that way, what products I used to style that photo and make my living room look that way. So I am filtering them over into a different page. So I'm nurturing 2 different types of relationships now.
Do you have a sense, like, they're like your 2 children, and I know I'm not going to ask you to choose between them, but like, do you have a feeling of which one has more juice, or which one you're more excited about, or are you equally excited about each one?
I'm equally excited. I couldn't have one without the other. I wouldn't. My audience is growing on the second page, the market, the home goods market, because of the audience I have on my Roost and Restore.
The first page, right? Yeah.
So
you're able to tell. So do you say, "Hey guys, come follow me here too. Come join"? Are they groups or pages?
They are pages. I experiment with groups, and I've decided that was more of a community thing. And so now, like, I have created this second business page, and they will see me there live from time to time. I will show my face over there, but I have 2 employees who are behind that page now. So they are going to be juicing that page up and feeding that page and talking to those people. And I trust them completely to do that. And then I will show my face. I will come over there to share my expertise in the decorating part, but they keep everything moving on that side of things. And now for me, that opens me up to really focus on the DIY. And the bread and butter, which is the Roost and Restore page. Now, I'm not telling people to go out and have multiple pages, because it's not something you can do as one person. But I just saw that I could really nurture 2 different types of relationships in different ways. And I mean, who knows what will come from that.
Well, I love that. The one thing that, knowing you, I probably started working with you. I think you joined our group about a year ago. Is that right?
Yeah. Gosh, I don't even know if it was that long. I remember I was in the thick. I came on your podcast in July, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And
that was when the group was going on, right?
Yeah, like we had met just before that, or we had gotten on a call. So I want to say maybe late spring, early summer. I don't even think.
Oh my gosh. Because I have to say, being part of your journey and watching you grow is so satisfying to David and me. And David, my husband, my partner, who does we coach together. We get off of the calls, for our coaching group, and we're like, Casey is killing it. We're so crazy proud of her. And because because one thing that I think you've been so good at is being flexible and saying, you know what, I'm going to test this and I'm going to see if it works. And in the beginning, I feel like when we first started working with you, and you were very much like, I hate wood. I don't like it. People want it from me, but I'm not interested.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, but is there a way to make it work for you if people are coming to you? And then as soon as you leaned in, boom. Oh, do you have to go?
Well, is your brother okay? He's okay. Where is he?
In the creek. I can't get him out.
He's in the creek. Well, I may have to cut this short. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
But
yeah,
yes,
you go.
Leaning into that has changed my business. But again, gosh, I don't know.
How did you make the shift? What was it? So we're working with you, and you say to me, I just want to be doing decor DIYs and blog about it. You were like, I just want to blog. I just want to do DIYs, the end. And then you shifted.
And and it took me a while, but you kept saying we were on a call, but you were like, you have struck gold. You have struck gold. And you just telling me, like, sometimes like we get in our own way, but you saying, hey, no, this is where the gold is, because I was ready, like you said, to just throw it out. Like, I was done. It was wearing me out. I was tired. And you were like, no, you're doing the opposite. Like, you need to lean into that. And I just decided, okay, I'm going to figure out a way to take the weight off of me, but still lean into it at the same time. And that's where me like delegating and kind of scaling things and finding somebody that could come in and make the woodcuts for me. Somebody that can run the Facebook page, like help me run it anyway. So there was several, it was just me at that point. And so the second that I gave up the control and handed it to some other people, other experts that could help me, it changed the game.
Interesting. Okay. So it was that you were able to get, because you were dreading it. You were like, I hate, you remember you were going to sell the saw.
Go find your brother. I'm so sorry. I knew this would happen. It's so hectic. I was the one on the saw. I was the one cutting. July was incredibly hard on us. Hey, Lincoln, I need you to be quiet. I'm on a phone call. July was incredibly hard on me. And then I took on Kinsey as an employee that month as well. We were the ones sweating it on the saw and teaching ourselves as we went. Like, we didn't really know 100% what we were doing. So I was able to hand that off to an expert, to somebody that knew. And then that I was able to just totally like expand what I could offer, because I mean, I could only do what I could do. But
remember, you were going to sell the saw.
Yeah, I mean, I was, and the funny part is I actually just gave it to my wood guy. I said, here, you have it. It's yours now. We worked out a deal that way, but it's just been a game changer to lean into that and just to listen to your audience, because my people are the ones that told me that that's what they wanted. I started trying to sell decor in the beginning. I thought, it's a decor blog. I'll sell decor. It makes sense. And it sold some. It wasn't, life changing. But when people started saying, no, I want wood, I want these pieces. Can you get me this piece? Where did you get that? I'm like, well, I can make it and send it to you, I guess, no big deal. And so they really started telling me what they wanted. And that has kind of evolved. And so that's where it went into me just selling one-off kits here and there. And I was driving myself crazy trying to keep up. So now we have packaged those kits into a subscription. So I know exactly how many to make or have made every month, how many I'm sending, how many to prepare for. And not to mention, it's recurring, consistent income at this point.
Exactly. You don't have to go find that sale. You've already made that sale. Yeah. I think that's terrific. And I like how you were able to solve your own problem of dread. So you go, because I could tell you've got a busy
I'm so
household.
nervous.
No
I never know.
Yeah, well, thank you for showing up.
I'd love to talk more about it.
Totally. I'll have you back on. We'll do it again.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Okay. So wait, now we're back. Hi, guys. So I have to say, Julie, are you still here? If you're here, talk to me. So Julie's saying that the Google update is stressing her out. So I want to reassure people. The truth is that when Google updates stuff, some people win and some people lose, and you don't know. And if you're doing best practices, you should be okay. And what that means is creating the best content you possibly can, like doing the whole thing about content that is going to give you an advantage, because you have to assume that most people aren't thinking about it this way. There are those people who are optimizing everything, and you're never going to beat those people, but most people aren't being as sophisticated as you are. Just even doing keyword research puts you ahead of probably 90% of other bloggers. Do your keyword research. Lean into being helpful and answering all those questions that you had when you were, say, first making this craft or doing this. Julie, I know that you blog about plans. So you know what problems you had at the beginning, and you want to you want to write toward those, because you know if you had that problem, somebody else did. Be as helpful as possible. That is the whole side for content. And then the second side is, oh, good. I'm glad you're here. The second side is make sure your site speed is good. This is the other thing that I meant to talk about. I didn't have time because Casey jumped on. Okay, is there something going on with Facebook as well? I have half the audience I had. Where else can I share my blog? So hold on one second. Okay, this is Talisa. Talisa, I'll get to that in 1 second. But this is one thing I also want you to pay attention to. On mobile, get used to going to your site. When you post a blog post, you know, we're usually working on our desktops. I shared this yesterday. I work on this really gigantic Mac, like huge. And I lose sight of what does it really look like when it's all scrunched up on my phone. And one thing you want to look at is how easy is it to read and scroll through your content and get to answers that are helpful. And this is where using headings like H2s and H3s to break up your content is really useful. Using a table of contents is really useful. Using frequently asked questions, super useful. Adding all those special tips, great. The other thing you want to look for are things shifting around. So when your page is loading, are pieces moving? Like the ad hasn't fully shown up and then boom, it pops in and then everything kind of shifts. Google doesn't like that. And there are certain things you can do so that your page is not shifting. And you can Google that. There are a lot of it relates to your ads, because remember, your ads are happening like spontaneously in this moment. So let's say an ad doesn't load, your page kind of shifts around because it's filling in the empty spots. So you could talk to your ad network, because there are ways for them to make things more static. They can put in like a PSA, a public service announcement, to fill that spot so you're not dealing with all of this shifting. That is really something to think about. The other thing to think about is, how do you build your own authority? How do you, for example, get people to link to you, to your blog, make a name for yourself? And really, this is all about being your own best PR rep. And it means, if you can, reaching out to people to say, like, write a guest blog post. Now, I don't know if I get these all the time, like, hey, we're a brand and we'd really like to do like a guest post on your blog. And really what they're wanting is a link on our blog for this specific brand. They'll even say, we'll pay you. And that's completely against Google's terms of service. But if there are organic ways for you to do this, do it. If you have a girlfriend who's like in your space or something related, do a guest post on her blog and have her do a guest post on your blog. One, it's content that's cool, and you can link to her and she can link to you, and that is really beneficial. The one thing you don't want to do is try and game that system, like, okay, best friend, we're going to just link to each other all the time. It won't work. But if I have something like you're doing a pie recipe and I have like the best pie crust recipe and you don't have one, link to mine under best pie crust recipe. And all of a sudden, like, that's relevant. The anchor words say best pie crust recipe or flakiest pie crust recipe. That's really cool, because that is telling Google, oh, this link is that. It's like the flakiest pie crust recipe. That's really cool. So if there are opportunities, you want to look for the opportunities to build your authority without doing kind of scammy, spammy type stuff. But really, this is a good opportunity to work with your friends in this Facebook group. This is what I hope is people can find each other. In fact, if you are listening to this right now, and you see on it on Facebook that like you can invite friends who are like-minded, bloggers, online entrepreneurs, invite them into the group, because I believe the bigger the group, the more power to the group. The easier it is to connect with people and find those people who can help you. You know, rising tides lifts all boats. And that is so true on the internet. Okay, so Julie, tell me if I have been able to calm you down about the Google update. I don't, and the truth is nobody knows. So when you hear somebody freaking out about it, who knows, it might benefit you, especially if you are not doing any of those spammy, scammy type things, but you're actually putting out good content. That's like the best way to protect yourself while taking care of these specific technical things like checking your site speed and seeing how it's going. And if it's really in the toilet, you got some work to do. It might just mean optimizing your photos or putting a caching plugin in. There are some simple ways that you can boost it that aren't super expensive and will get you some benefit. And remember, we're not shooting for 90%. I'd love it if we could all get there. Not possible, but that's okay. You just don't want to be in the toilet. Okay. So, okay, Talisa, I think this is you who had this question, and I'm going to share it. Is there something going on with Facebook as well? I have half the audience I had. Where else can I share my blog? This is exactly what happens when we rely on social media. It's like a necessary evil because it helps us build our businesses, but then we are also beholden to them and dependent on the whims of the platforms, and they can tweak something and all of a sudden, boom, half our traffic goes away. My recommendation is to lean into multiple platforms. So the other one that I would say I would be leaning into is Pinterest. Pinterest is a much easier way, I think, of gaining traffic than Facebook. I know you've got this big engaged Facebook page, and that's fantastic. I would also try something like Pinterest. Instagram, not such a great platform for driving traffic, but Google SEO and Pinterest are really, and here's another one. YouTube can also build your audience, get people to know you, and potentially drive some traffic. There's controversy about like not wanting to get people watching a video and always leaving YouTube. YouTube does not like that. However, there is a happy medium of when you can lead them off and all of that. And then it comes down to how are you monetizing? And if it's all about traffic, I feel like that is a harder place to be, say, than 5 years ago, just because traffic is harder to come by. So what other ways can you be monetizing? What other products can you come up with? I did this podcast episode for those of you who listened to my podcast. You might have listened. I did my top, I think it was 5 tips or 10 tips, I don't even remember now, for 2021. And I would say that the most successful bloggers I work with, and we coach bloggers, I interview bloggers, I am a blogger, I talk to industry experts all the time for my podcast. Those bloggers are the ones who figured out how to sell something. And Talisa, you have a membership, right? In the comment. And Talisa, do you want to come on the Facebook Live? Leave me put a message in if you're still listening. Okay. And wait, I have to share this. Ready? Okay. I think this is Julie who says, yes, I feel a lot better. I still have work to do on speed. Okay. Your site speed, but I think my content is pretty good. If I do say so myself, thanks. And yes. And Julie, Sprouts and Stems is your blog, and you are the plant expert. And I think that the more you can own that you're like the plant mom, helping people live, surrounded by beautiful living plants, I think is so wonderful. And I think you've been really good, Julie, at being strategic about the content you create in terms of, looking at different plants and making it easy for people. So I have to say, super proud of you and what you're doing. And if you have site speed issues, reach out to us and we will take a look. But honestly, I don't think you need to be worried. And if ultimately, here's the thing, if ultimately this change happens and your traffic tanks, you can get it back. It might take some work, or it might take some, working on site speed, that kind of thing. You can do that, and you're smart. So I have no doubt that I don't think this will be a big deal. And that's the other thing that Casey and I talked about. I have another podcast going live with hashtag Jeff, who is another SEO expert. And he said the same thing. He's like, I know people are freaking out about this change that's coming in May. He's like, but nobody knows what it's going to be. So therefore, you want to be prepared, but you don't necessarily have to be so concerned because it might benefit you. Who knows? Okay, let's see. Oh, that's so nice. Okay, I'm going to share this to Lisa. I'm looking for a ghostwriter now that I have my website up. Thanks to you and your husband. Oh, I'm so glad you feel that way, David. Put up your website, which is great. To Lisa, I would say I've used ghostwriters. In fact, my strategy, I might have shared this with you. I have somebody that I found on Fiverr. And what I do is, like, if you think about it, if it's like a new topic, okay, here's an example. I just went live with a blog post about Clubhouse. Clubhouse is this new platform. It's kind of like live podcasting with groups. It's like Facebook groups meets podcasting happening in real time. And I wanted to write a blog post about Clubhouse and what it was and how it worked and all of that, but I didn't have the time. So I hired this woman on Fiverr. I probably paid her somewhere between $30 and $50. And what I did, though, was I gave her some blog posts about Clubhouse that I thought were good, but it wasn't go copy these. It was like, go do research. Here's some research. And please talk about, I gave her some topics, like I want to know how Clubhouse works, like like how it actually works, like how you could use it to grow your business. And I think there was like a third thing. And I said, this is what I want to focus on. So the more I could give her direction, the better, rather than saying, go write me a blog post about Clubhouse. But I didn't have the time to start at the beginning. And what I would say is, she got me, like, let's say this is your blog post, right? You have to get up to here and you have to start down here. She got me to here. And then I was able to take what she wrote and get to here. So it wasn't like, wow, she just did it and knocked it out of the park and I could just copy and paste it and go live with it. It still had to go through me, but it was kind of like somebody writing me a rough draft and an outline and finding information that I then didn't have to search for. And it was a much shorter distance that I needed to go to get that post up. That is my recommendation for using ghostwriters. I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think it can be really beneficial. And I've gone back to the same person. I can give you her name because I don't know it, multiple times to do this, to kind of get me going. That's how I would think. That's how I think about it. And I think it's really powerful, especially if it's a topic that somebody could research. I don't know for you, if you could get somebody to be making crafts for you, that would be great too. In fact, for Catch My Party, there was a while where I did hire somebody who would do crafts for me, and she would take all the photos and she would do a write-up of it, and then we would post it, and I would give her credit for that. It wasn't like, this is my craft. I would put a link to her and say, this craft is, from our contributing editor. And that was really helpful as well. So totally, I think having a team of people to help you, especially if it's something that A, you don't like, B, that takes too much of your time, and keeps anything that can keep you in the game. Because it's all about building online businesses. It's all about consistency. I wish it were sexier, but it's not. And so if there are tasks or things that you feel are pulling you out of this and making it not fun anymore, I say step up and pay for those just to keep you in the game. Like, that's what Casey and I were talking about. She hated doing woodwork. So I was saying, wow, wood is working for you. I wouldn't abandon it. And so she solved it by hiring somebody to do the woodwork for her. I think that was super smart. Okay, so those are the things. Let's see. So those are the questions. If anybody has another question, please pop it in the comments. If you're watching the replay of this, please put a comment in that says hashtag replay, because I'd love to know that you're here and you're listening. Please, here's my ask of you, invite other like-minded bloggers and online entrepreneurs into this group so that we can all help each other. I love this community. I love showing up here. I love seeing what you guys are talking about. And you guys, and truly thank you for all of you and all of your outpouring of support for us going through this weird Austin weather thing. I can't tell you how much that meant to me. I didn't expect it, and it was really lovely. So thank you for being such a fantastic community. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to reach out to me. You can message me on Facebook. You can message me on Instagram at Milo Tree. Super easy. Follow me there because I have a marquee board and I like to put little sayings up and I like to share them on my stories. In fact, after I get off this Facebook Live, I'm going to go do that. I wonder what I'm going to add. In fact, this is funny. I am doing TikToks and I'm going to do a Facebook Live talking about my experience. I'm just learning, but I kind of find it fun. And I want to talk to people who are using TikToks who can teach me and help me grow. And maybe we can all help each other grow together. That's what I wanted to share today. I wish you guys a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Thanks for hanging with me. And I will talk to you later. Okay. Bye-bye.